Yeah. Oh my God, let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with our good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Leicester City 1, Aston Villa 2. Unbeaten in 6, 3 wins on the spin, 2 back-to-back away wins. Bertrand Traore is back. How are you doing, bro? How are you doing?
Oh man, but it's just ludicrous, isn't it? It's
Take
just
a minute.
ludicrous.
Just take a minute.
Christ, honestly, someone out there is the football gods are playing a sick joke with my physical and mental health, and it's not funny, and it needs to stop now. Because just a few months ago, you and I were titling videos and creating thumbnails like Aston Villa European charge, and it was a little bit not quite tongue in cheek, but a little bit sort of pie in the sky, shall we say? And now I'm actually sat here. I'm looking at the table in front of me. Aston Villa Football Club are sat in 7th in the league.
Oh my God.
As we were recording this, Liverpool and Chelsea are still playing. So by the time you guys have listened to this, you'll know the outcome of that game. And at some point in this, Dan and I are going to find out the outcome to that game during this recording. At the moment, it's still 0-0. But I mean, if Chelsea could find a winner in there somewhere, I suppose the draw is in a way the perfect result, really. But
Yeah.
it just solidifies our hold on that position. But my mate, what a crazy evening.
Talk about a mid-off, Liverpool Chelsea. But man, I can't believe it, man. King Power Stadium, as we said in the preview, not a happy hunting ground for us in recent years. We've overcome another hoodoo. I'm so happy. I just want to talk about Bertrand Traore for the whole episode, mate, and dedicate a whole episode. The shirt is there. Dan has a Bertrand Traore shirt as well.
I did.
Whipped it out and got it on. Do you know what? And like, everyone was like pretty underwhelmed when we recalled him, and I can understand why. But I'm just here. You guys know I love a narrative. I adore a narrative, and Bertrand Traore, he was just cast aside by a clueless Steven Gerrard who didn't know how to tame the inner maverick that is inside of this man. And like, one thing that I don't think anybody, like, I don't understand. I can understand, like, not, sort of criticizing the maybe the defensive output of Bertie's game, or maybe the fact that he's a bit inconsistent. This guy only scores screamers. Like, we're talking about like sort of cult hero status goals that this guy has scored, and this one is one for the history books, mate. It's an absolute worldie. The audacity to take it on at the first time, to steal that ball, bam, top corner. Iverson had no chance, and it was just, I screamed like a girl when it hit the back of the net, mate. I am absolutely buzzing. What a goal.
Oh, man. Like, honestly, I think when you consider, as you say, where that man's career has been going, where it was headed, on loan at Istanbul Başakşehir for the first part of the season, he's recalled from loan to, make up the numbers, as people said. And look, I'm not going to try and sit and say that we thought this moment was coming and anything like that, because we didn't. That's, he was recalled because of the situation the club was in. We didn't want to overpay to get someone in that striker position in January. We had Bertrand Traore comes back from loan, takes the number 9 shirt, which is audacious at the time. But if this is his only contribution until the end of the season, then that move has been worth it in abundance. He was brought back to provide maybe a fleeting moment in a game like this. And if that's all he does from now until May, and we move him on in the summer, he can go with his head held high. Because who knows how important this goal could be, mate? Who knows how important this goal could be? And honestly, to God, I had it written down in my notes. I was making notes out of the game. When we made that, I think it was a triple sub. We had Digne, Chambers, and Traore. I think they all come on at once. And I wrote down in my notes, not enough depth. And I was like, we're bringing on these 3 players. This is the difference between us and the sides that are genuinely going to make Europe this year.
Yeah.
Is because they have players that come on 75th minute, make a difference against a relegation fighting side with 10 men, and they win the game. And I wrote it, I was like, it's not going to happen. These players aren't enough. And my oh my, am I eating humble pie tonight, because that goal is outrageous. And he is going to try some ridiculous things at the weekend against Nottingham Forest. None of them are going to work. None of them are going to work, and it's going to be fantastic.
Mate, he's earned the right. He's earned the right. As we said yesterday, but it's like, what makes that? It makes it so much sweeter that like there's previous there, and like it means something. Like, and as you say, mate, we could never have predicted he'd do that, but the sort of that sort of determination for him to prove that was wrong is something that's lived inside of me since he come back. You know, not many people go to Turkey and sort of have a sort of a prosperous career after that, really, do they? So thankfully his time there was cut short as it was, and as you say, mate, we could be looking back, booking flights to blooming Croatia or wherever, and thanking Bertrand Traore for that goal. It was wonderful, and he has to start against Forest, right? He has to start over Bailey, providing Booba's not fit, obviously, because the way. I think Bailey was accommodated due to obviously not having Booba in this game, and playing McGinn and Louise as that sort of pivot. Mate, the thing is, like, this wasn't an all time. This was not a necessarily entertaining game to watch. Leicester had done their homework, and they were sort of playing that diagonal ball constantly on Ash, and Barnes was getting the better of him. And he did end up getting the better of him and obviously scoring. That's just classic Harvey Barnes. That's his bread and butter. They're the goals he scores almost every week. But to show the character to come back as we did, mate, and obviously, you know, we're sort of helped by the red card and having 10 men. When's the last time Villa beat a team with who they were playing against 10 men? I couldn't tell you. It's so unlike Villa to actually come and get the job done in this situation. We're not watching Aston Villa. We're watching Unai Emery's Aston Villa, where this is out with the old and in with the new. And nothing surprises me now. When I was sat there and I was wondering where the goal was going to come from. And just, you know, if I was sort of preparing myself for what I'd say to you, mate, and, you know, I was thinking, would I take a draw? Oh, it's not really a good look if you draw to 10 men. But here we are, mate. We've come out 2-1 victors. And the changes have proven to be a sort of a stroke of genius, really.
Yeah, yes, mate. We weren't very good tonight. Is the fact of the matter. We were poor. We weren't very good. Leicester had us. You know, Ollie Watkins' goal is the first on target we have in the game. He then has another one in the second half, which is our second. I mean, we should have been 1-0 down pretty early on. Harry Souttar has that. I think it's coming in from a corner. Sort of floats in totally by himself. He's literally on the edge of the 6-yard box. No one is around him. And he plants it into the ground and it bounces wide of the post. We then have, as you say, I mean, the Ollie goal is fantastic, and 6 in 6 away games for him is just ludicrous. It's taken with, like, it's a goal that sometimes you see a Harry Kane score where somehow they just seem to have taken a touch which goes beyond them, and then the leg extends and pokes it past Everson, and the pass from Buendia is just amazing. But It was the only real good move that we put together in that first half. And then, I mean, we all worry about Jamie Vardy when we come on this podcast and we play Leicester. We need to change that narrative. We now need to worry about Harvey Barnes, because I'm convinced that man only ever scores against us. In the eyes of Villa fans, Harvey Barnes is Ronaldinho. Any other fan base in the Premier League, he's bang average. But we look at him, he's the second coming of Neymar on that left wing. And it's like, I saw a good friend, Aaron, friend of the pod, was like, sign him. He's a wizard. I was just like, this is what he does.
Yeah.
Harvey Barnes, 5 goals now against us for Villa. And then, you know, again through the second half, it's battling. We get that goal through Bertie, and then there's the whole penalty incident, which honestly, my heart was out of my chest, mate, with that Ollie incident in the end. It goes to VAR, it's rightly overturned, but my, we really had to do this the hard way. And yeah, I mean, as you say, mate, like, I know against 10 men, we had that game against Palace earlier on in the season where Doucouré sent off the challenge that Booba is still looking to come back from, but we were already ahead by the time that that, like, that red card happened. Leeds also got sent off in a player sent off in the 0-0 draw we had at Ellen Road. I believe that was still under Gerrard. But you're right in
And
saying
Fulham,
it has been. Yes, yeah, yeah.
and Fulham, the
It's
final game.
it's been a long old time since we were played against 10 men and took advantage of that situation. And, we had to have some pretty special means to do so. It took that from Bertrand Traore. But you're right in saying, mate, that my oh my, this, like, every week we seem to take advantage of something that Villa haven't been able to do previously. Every week there's a record that's broken. There's skeletons coming out the closet. There's hoodoos being ended. What we're doing at the moment is pretty special. And you look at the next game against Forest, and it's just massive. It's just massive. And if we can go and get a result there, boy oh boy, are we in for one special run.
We are, mate. We are, because when you look at it as well, obviously today, Forest lost to Leeds 2-1, full time on the Chelsea-Liverpool game. That's ended in a draw, so we are confirmed 7th place until, at least until the next round of games. Are there games tomorrow? I think there are. There might be. There's quite a few double game weeks.
Yeah, we've got tomorrow is West Ham Newcastle.
So yeah, so that's not going to have any bearings, thankfully. Wow, I can't believe it, mate. I can't believe it. We're sat in 7th, 44 points. The turnaround since Gerrard left and the points return in that time, it's astronomical, and it goes to show you that we truly do have an elite manager at the helm right now. And got to show some love to Buendia finally getting his first assist of the season. Can you believe that?
That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy.
29 for Aston Villa, and Buendia's only just registered an assist. I know he tops the Villa squad in terms of big chances created. When I saw that graphic a few weeks ago, he was the second closest player to him was Ashley Young, who had half the amount of chances. I think Buendia was on 32 at the time, and Young was on 16, which is just crazy to think about. He's always involved. He's not necessarily the guy making the assist, but he's always sort of involved in the build-up and the sort of the general play before a goal, which is obviously is great. But I'm sure he'd want a few more numbers, sort of on his stats. But like, we weren't brilliant. I don't want to dwell on it too much, mate, because this is a positive podcast. But I think it goes to show, doesn't it? And like, if we're gonna get carried away and think of Europe and all this kind of stuff, that's great. The squad depth issue, as you say, mate, it does need to be addressed, because we will be playing it. Should we make it to Europa Conference League, it's Thursday, Sunday, and it's a tight turnaround, and you're flying to absolute east of nowhere to play games potentially. So it's not to sort of single anybody out. There were a few players who I thought should. I mean, for Ash, it's completely understandable. The bloke's nearly 38. We can allow him a bad time against a quick winger, can't we? But again, I thought Guinea was pretty good in this game. I thought he looked pretty solid, and generally he looks a lot more sort of composed on the ball now under pressure. There are a few situations where he was almost inviting the press on from Vardy and Maddison, and he's turning out and he's managing to pick off passes and stuff like that, which is obviously really good. Because we're seeing these are, it may seem like a small thing to some people, but how many times have we said it, mate? Guinea, if in doubt, arse out, head down, steamroll, but we're sort of ironing that out, and that can only be a good thing. Obviously, there's a time and place for him to go full meatball mode, but mate, I'm absolutely buzzing. I don't know what else to say, man. I'm almost lost for words. It feels so good to be sat here speaking to you, mate, when we're playing as well as we are. And as you said, mate, we've got a massive game against Forest coming up. I think they're in a pretty bad vein of form right now. I think in the last 5 games, only Leicester have performed worse when you're looking at it. And it presents a fantastic opportunity. Villa have momentum, and that's the word of the month, really. Momentum.
Yeah, man. I mean, you look at this weekend's fixture against Forest, against the side who are the worst side in the league away from home. They've won just 2 games on the road. Well, no, they've won 1 game, sorry, on the road this season. They have 6 points, but it's 1 win and 3 draws with 10 losses. They've scored 5 goals in those 14 games and conceded 34. It's crazy. They come to Villa Park this weekend in a 3 o'clock, and we have to deal with a different. This win tonight feels huge, mate. The reason why it feels huge is because I think not even the Chelsea game did this. I think it takes Europe from feeling like a pipe dream to something of a genuine possibility, and
Yeah,
it's actually, I think Villa will go into the games now, and I think there was a little bit of it today with pressure,
yeah,
with expectancy to win. It's gone from being, we were in this, this amazing string of results has come at a time when we were playing with that beautiful sense of freedom with a complete lack of pressure, because this season, as it always is when you change manager midway through a season, especially when the situation is as dire as it was when Gerrard left, it's a inverted commas free hit.
yeah,
It's just place as high as you can. And this momentum was like, great, let's just see how high we can get. Let's see if we can crack the top half. If we can place 10th, amazing. And now all of a sudden, you're 7th in the league. You're 2 points up Brighton, who obviously have a couple of games in hand, as do United above them. But you've got Liverpool behind you. You've got Chelsea, inevitably with a new manager coming on board, breathing down the back of your neck. You've got Brentford and Fulham in there too. Villa are going to start heading into games with a bit of pressure, because this win, we've seen it here. What a difference between playing out for a battling draw and actually going on to win the game. What a difference that can make. And I think it's going to be a similar situation going into the game against Forest, because all of the stats should tell you that's going to be an easy one. But, you know, it's not, we know what Villa are like. It might not be. And then after that, you look at the game against Newcastle the week later. You got Brentford a week after that. Fortnight later, United, Wolves, Spurs, Liverpool, and Brighton on the run in. My God, so you've got 5 games there to end the season. United, Wolves, Spurs, Liverpool, Brighton, all against teams that are in and around this fight for European football. I know Wolves is a slight caveat there, but they've been significantly improved under Lopetegui. So 4 out of the 5 there are all against teams that are fighting for European spots. It is going to be nuts, mate. Absolutely nuts.
it is. And guys, you're gonna have to stick with us because it's about to get crazy, man. It's about to get absolutely crazy, and I'm sure we'll be back either tomorrow or the day after to preview the Forest game in more detail. A must-win game. A must-win game after this. You just have to keep going and winning your games. So yeah, if you guys are new, make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. There's currently 46% of you guys watching this right now that aren't subscribed. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button. That way you'll never miss an upload from us here at Heart of the Holte. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure you leave us a review. Make sure you follow us and save us and all that kind of stuff. And if you didn't know as well, we're on TikTok and Instagram at Heart of the Holte on TikTok, at VillaPod on Instagram. There is a link tree in the comments, in the description that Dan made. Everything you need to know is in there. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.